It is no secret that Nintendo's formula for success involves incredible first-party games and a lovable roster of characters. However, Nintendo also relies on titles from third parties and indie developers to fill the void between its next major launch. Indie games have shown on their hardware due to their consistent versatility and portability. The Nintendo Switch is no exception to this trend. Its eShop contains hundreds of independent titles that span nearly every genre imaginable. It's common to be overwhelmed by options when looking for something new to play, but these indie games will keep you entertained for hours at a time, either at home or on the go. Somehow, this beautiful indie gem love letter was missing from this list. Sea of Stars is one of those rare special titles that only comes along once in a while. It's perfect for you if you want to experience the joy of classic RPGs or the nostalgia of reliving them. This retro-inspired turn-based RPG has everything you're looking for while allowing you to traverse through the world with several systems to indulge in, from cooking to swimming to traversing the world in unique ways. Relive classic days of gaming with a new, fresh look in Sea of Stars. Calling all skateboarding fans! You won't want to miss out on OlliOlli World. Developer Roll7 invites you to flip, trick, and grind your way across Redlandia in what is one of the most enjoyable skateboarding adventures in recent memory. Set in a colorful world full of even more colorful character where you can fully customize your skater, you'll try to best challenges, try to retain your place on the league board, and try to glide your way through the eye-catching locations in style. Complete with a killer soundtrack, you'll find yourself falling into the flow in no time. Fez is one of the most mind-expanding games I have ever played, a hybrid of platformer and puzzler in which you play a little dude living in a two-dimensional world who suddenly gains the ability to see in 3 dimensions. As a player, this means you have the ability to, with a tap of the shoulder button, rotate the world on its axis. When viewed from a different angle, platforms that once seemed out of reach are an easy jump away, and hidden doors are revealed around the backside of a tree trunk. You set off on a quest to explore your new, wider world, and to save it, and you'll need to use your new abilities to their fullest if you want to figure out how to do it. There are no enemies to defeat, only interlocking levels to navigate and traverse between, and a handful of nigh-impossible puzzles to solve. There's even an alien language you can learn to decode, or, if you value your sanity, you can just look up hints online. Also, the music totally slaps. An interesting gameplay loop, Neon White is both a platformer and a first-person shooter. You'll be moving fast and furious as you exterminate demons that have infiltrated heaven. You'll collect soul cards used for weapons. You can use them to attack foes or discard them for unique movement abilities, helping enhance your speedrun through this non-stop parkour adventure. Neon White is all about speed, and if you love speedrunning and want the challenge of defending heaven while performing incredible parkour stunts and shooting down your enemies, Neon White is a one-of-a-kind indie game to try. Like Shovel Knight, The Messenger takes one of the best games of the 80s and betters it by fixing everything that was broken or frustrating about it. This time, the original model being iterated upon is Ninja Gaiden, a classic NES platformer in which you play as a ninja fighting to avenge the death of his father by jumping, flipping, climbing walls, and stabbing a countless number of infinitely generating enemies. It was one of my favorite games as a kid. I was so into the story I even read the novelization, but I was never good enough to beat it, even with the help of a game genie, because it's fiendishly difficult. The Messenger offers basically the same gameplay, but with helpful additions like more frequent save points and the ability to enhance your armor and weapons. Sure, it's easier, but it's hardly easy, and the kooky storyline, rife with self-aware humor commenting on the inherent absurdity of gaming in general, only makes it better. Developed by Polyknight Games, InnerSpace launched on most platforms in 2018. It's an action and exploration game that has you soaring through a mysterious realm to uncover the lost secrets of an abandoned universe. Most of your time playing InnerSpace will be spent exploring the world and solving a variety of puzzles to unlock new and exciting secrets. It only takes about 8 hours to complete, so you don't need to worry about investing a lot of time into it. InnerSpace features stunning visuals and unique gameplay that feel unlike anything else on the Nintendo Switch. The product of a single developer, Joachim Sandberg, Iconoclasts has all the platforming polish of a game produced with a big team, but the idiosyncratic quirks that suggest a singular vision at work. You play as a young engineer in a techno-dystopian world where mechanical know-how is outlawed and the ruling class controls access to energy-supplying ivory with literally religious fervor. Okay, so the story is a bit of a head-scratcher. I've finished the game and barely understand it, but the gameplay is absolutely fantastic. A Mega Man-influenced Metroidvania in which you use your stun gun and wrench to blast and whack enemies and solve complex environmental puzzles. I loved every minute of it. Yonder, the Cloudcatcher Chronicles was developed by Prideful Sloth and launched on the Nintendo Switch in 2018. It takes place on the magical island of Gemia, which features 8 different biomes. As you explore the land, you can befriend animals and trade materials to craft useful tools and weapons. An evil entity known as Merc has taken over the land, and it's up to you to take it back using the help of the sprites scattered all across the world. Yonder, the Cloudcatcher Chronicles provides hours of fun and has a mesmerizing aesthetic that is gorgeous to look at and easy to get lost in. There's a theme to indie roguelites being exceptionally hard, and Risk of Rain 2 tests the limits of that tradition. Bringing the young series into a beautifully realized 3D world, you're challenged to endure a vicious onslaught of wonderfully diverse foes, often well-equipped to take you down in one hit. As you progress, you'll unlock items that fundamentally alter your playing style. Gasoline can be used to ignite a field of enemies that would normally take time, skill, and a bit of good fortune to defeat. The rare frost relic surrounds you in a blizzard that attacks with 600% damage per second, passively clearing your path for a short while. It's this type of progression, mixed with fluid, responsive combat that keeps you coming back to Risk of Rain 2, beatdown after beatdown. Rime is a 2017 adventure game developed by Tequila Works. Although not super well known, it is an absolutely gorgeous game that is reminiscent of both The Legend of Zelda and Studio Ghibli. Rime follows the story of a mysterious boy washed up on an unnamed island. Accompanied by his fox companion, the boy must explore the island and solve dungeon-based puzzles to unlock the secrets of the world. Rime features a fully realized open world and gameplay that often feels like the PlayStation 2 classic Jak and Daxter. Considering the size of this game, it's a fantastic bargain for its low price tag and will sweep you into its fascinating world moments after you start it. If you love Zelda-likes, Death's Door is one of my favorites, and was one of the best games of 2021. In this isometric adventure, you play as a soul-collecting crow in the employ of Death himself. When your latest reaping goes wrong, you become an unwitting investigator into a vast conspiracy that spans life and death as you make your way through 3 dungeons to collect enough soul power to open Death's Door. The game offers a marvelous mix of exploration and combat, perhaps a bit too much of the latter. Unless you're a lot better than I am, you'll need to grind your way through scores of regular baddies to upgrade your spells, defenses, and weapons until you are strong enough to take on the big bosses. But the oddball humor, quirky characters, and melancholy atmosphere will make doing so a pleasure. Similar to the indie hit Dead Cells, Wizard of Legend is a roguelike game where you have to complete every stage in one run, otherwise, you must restart from the beginning. However, unlike Dead Cells, you play from a top-down perspective as a wizard attempting to complete the legendary Chaos Trials. There are 5 elemental classes in the game, consisting of Earth, Wind, Lightning, Water, and Fire, and you start with a base of 4 attacks in any of them: Basic, Dash, Standard, and Signature. It also features a local co-op mode, so you can play with a friend. Wizard of Legend offers hours of challenging gameplay with tons of spells and attacks to learn and master. In 2018, D-Pad Studio introduced Nintendo Switch owners to an adventure 10 years in the making. Owlboy is an action-adventure game that follows a young owl named Otis. He is mute and struggles to fit in with his people, but must save the day after his village is attacked by pirates. Owlboy features unique gameplay in a retro-inspired world that looks stunning. As you explore the lands, you will recruit new friends along the way and use their unique abilities to assist you during your journey. Fight sky pirates and soar through the sky in this delightful indie game about accepting who you are and the power of friendship. Okay, Fine, I'll mention this one too. Stardew Valley is ostensibly a farming sim, but it's so much deeper than that. It's a game you can basically play forever. As Brendan Hesse put it on this site, developed by just one guy, who goes by the moniker Concerned Ape, this game has made its creator something like $30 million, and he deserves every penny of it. The rhythm genre might not be as popular as it used to be, but games like Sayonara Wild Hearts occasionally steal the show and prove how euphoric it can be to hit a series of notes to obtain a new high score. Published by Annapurna Interactive in 2019, this 90-minute adventure features an adrenaline-pumping soundtrack and dazzling visuals that are as immersive as attending a live concert. Sayonara Wild Hearts' unique gameplay makes it feel like a hybrid between Star Fox and Rhythm Heaven in the best way possible. Due to its shorter runtime, it's the perfect game to revisit once in a while knowing that you won't have to spend more than a couple of hours with it. Or, you can just listen to the excellent soundtrack on platforms like Spotify and Apple Music. There are plenty of games on the Nintendo Switch about crafting items and managing resources, but few have emotionally gripping narratives like Spiritfarer. You play as Stella, a young woman who has recently accepted the task of finding lost spirits and helping them find peace before they depart toward the afterlife. Spiritfarer has a bunch of fun mini-games to play to craft items and accommodate the needs of your passengers. Each spirit has a fascinating background, and as they get closer to the end of their journey, you can give them a big hug before saying goodbye. If you're looking for a cozy game that will also make your heart melt a bit, Spiritfarer will take you on a journey you won't forget anytime soon. Don't let Cave Story's super simple graphics fool you. This game is no relic of the 8-bit era, but a loving tribute to, and arguable improvement upon, old-school adventure platformers like Metroid and Castlevania, and, like Stardew Valley and Iconoclasts, it was developed and programmed over 5 years by a single game designer, Daisuke Amaya. You play as a robot that has lost his memory, and you must travel through an underground landscape seeking an escape, and to solve the mystery of your origins along the way. Controls that seem stiff at first eventually reveal themselves to be perfectly calibrated as you upgrade your weapons and obtain new equipment that will soon have you zipping your way back through areas that kicked your ass the first time through. In 2018, Nameda Studios launched arguably one of the most stunning games ever made, Gris. It is an adventure game with platforming and puzzle elements that reinforce the idea that video games are a wonderful medium for art-based projects. Gris gameplay is relatively simple but gets more complex as you play through the diverse stages. Each level offers a new color motif, and you learn new powers as the puzzles you encounter require new skills. The soundtrack's beauty is matched only by the completely immersive universe full of mysterious living creatures. The Nintendo Switch is perfect for anyone who commutes to work or enjoys playing something in bed before falling asleep. If you're looking for a game that can be played for both hours at a time or in short sessions, Slay the Spire is a roguelike with deck-building mechanics that makes it ideal for anyone on the go. After choosing one of the playable characters, your main objective is to defeat waves of enemies while also picking up new cards to improve the quality of your deck. Runs can last anywhere from 10 minutes to over an hour, but it's incredibly easy to save and pick up again to continue where you left off. This game was a lifesaver after I finished Death's Door and was desperate for another, similar experience. Like that earlier Game of the Year contender, Tunic is a Zelda-esque adventure starring a small, adorable animal who sets off on a magical quest that's pure vibes, when it isn't maddeningly tough combat and complex puzzle solving. The quirky twist here is that all of the in-game signs and speech are printed in an incomprehensible non-language, which means you have to work extra hard to figure out how to navigate the land and clear the many roadblocks standing in your way. It can be frustrating at first, but once you get the hang of it, the game cracks open and becomes a truly satisfying action-adventure experience, familiar, but wholly different. Indie games often take inspiration from bigger, more well-known titles. However, it's not often that you find the developers behind a popular indie game collaborate with one of the most popular series in the world like Brace Yourself Games did with Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the NecroDancer. The original Crypt of the NecroDancer released in 2015 and, over time, became one of the most beloved indie games on the PC. Then, in June 2019, it was reimagined for the Nintendo Switch, featuring some of Hyrule's beloved heroes. The gameplay is all rhythm-based and takes you through a whole new map of Hyrule. You can play as Link, Princess Zelda, Cadence, or Eve, the Deku Scrub. Night in the Woods may feature a cast of anthropomorphic animals, but that doesn't stop it from containing incredibly relatable characters navigating the murky waters of growing up and discovering who they are. You play as May, a young woman who returns to her hometown after leaving school to pick up the pieces of her past. From beginning to end, Night in the Woods will continue to surprise you with sudden revelations, unexpected detours, and the occasional jam session with May's band. Despite its colorful aesthetic and characters, the game deals with some heavy themes such as mental health and confronting the past, but it's really effective and worth checking out if you're looking for a new adventure game to get lost in. It's a cyberpunk universe and you're just a messenger trying to get by without too much drama. Cloudpunk is a delivery service game in a wide-open world. Sure, you're a courier for a semi-illegal delivery company, and sure, it's your first night on the job, but what in the world could go wrong? Cloudpunk's narrative-driven gameplay takes place over the course of one night, and you decide what you want to deliver and when these choices will have consequences throughout the game and will change how other characters treat you. Cloudpunk is as engrossing as it is beautiful, and a wonderful Switch indie to get into. If you grew up playing games like Mega Man, Castlevania, or DuckTales, there is a very good chance you'll enjoy playing through Shovel Knight. This action-based platformer was originally launched in 2014 and still holds up incredibly well today, thanks to its tight controls, memorable characters, and epic soundtrack. If you enjoyed playing through Shovel Knight back in the day, you should check out the Treasure Trove collection that includes 3 additional campaigns focused around Plague Knight, Spectre Knight, and King Knight, with new stages to explore and abilities to master. Each story in Treasure Trove is filled with heart, humor, and a surprising amount of world building. If you've ever felt the thrill of the adventure of wanting to be stuck in an MMORPG and live out your adventures, CrossCode is the answer to that request. This indie, developed by Radical Fish Games and Deck 13, follows Leah as she wakes up one day with no memories and has to solve the puzzles and combat of the online MMORPG Crossworld to find out what's happening. Full of twists and turns and a protagonist who can't speak, CrossCode will bring back those 2D puzzle action and platformer titles from your past in a whole new way. If you've ever played a Zelda 2D game, you'll feel right at home playing CrossCode. With a unique cast of characters, an interesting story, and a nostalgic feel, it's a great indie game on the Switch. Raji, an ancient epic launched on Nintendo Switch last year, and Indian developer Nodding Head provides an absolutely breathtaking action-adventure game set in ancient Indian. You play Raji, a young woman who has been chosen by the gods to protect the world from being invaded by demons. The artwork is inspired by Indian myths like Ramayana and medieval Indian architecture and truly provides a gaming experience like no other. With combat that requires you to be tactful and choose between weapons like a trishul or a bow for each combat situation, Raji will keep you engaged at every turn. Some indie games like Stardew Valley can provide countless hours of relaxation as you graze around town and work on your farm. If you would rather sit on the edge of your seat than back against a nice cushion, Cuphead is one of the most challenging platformers available despite its cartoonish art style. Cuphead was originally released in late 2017 as a Microsoft exclusive but came to the Nintendo Switch a couple of years later. Developed by Studio MDHR, Cuphead follows the journey of a little cup-looking creature after he loses a deal with the devil and must face an array of spectacular bosses to clear his name. If you can't get enough Cuphead, the delicious Last Course expansion provides even more boss fights and surprises. Sometimes a game will come along that will change the way we see a genre. Hades is that game. A roguelike that's unlike any other, Hades takes the crown for bringing new players to the notoriously difficult genre in a much more accessible manner. Bright, vibrant colors, an intriguing story, wonderful voice acting, and gameplay that'll want to make you go back for another run. It's a special indie title definitely worth a try. The writing alone is worth your time, making you invested in characters from Greek mythology that you thought you already knew and presenting them in a new manner. The artwork is stunning and every character truly shines, making Hades a one-of-a-kind experience. There's a reason it was a staple at the Game Awards during the year of its launch. Dead Cells is a punishing Rogovania more than worth your pain, sweat, and tears. Its large, interconnected world is gorgeous, platforming and combat are fluid, and there's enough to explore and collect to keep you fighting for more. Unending streams of enemies waiting to permakill you make dead cells rudely challenging in a way that makes you blame yourself each time you fail. And you'll fail again and again, and each time whisper one more try before learning enough lessons to prevail. Combining and mastering the best elements of its parent genres, Roguelites and Metroidvanias, Dead Cells permadeaths. It didn't take long for Undertale to become a sensation after it launched in 2015, and after playing through the opening hours, it's easy to understand why. Inspired by classic RPGs like Earthbound and Live Alive, Undertale follows a human child who falls into the underground, a place full of monsters and deceptive flowers. Praised for its excellent soundtrack, memorable characters, and unique gameplay, the best part about Undertale is that there are 3 different main endings you can obtain depending on how you play the game. Whether you want to slay everything in your path or save every life you come across, Undertale welcomes both options. Many indie games include impactful and emotional narratives, but few weave their gameplay with core themes like depression and mental health as well as Celeste. This 2018 platformer received universal acclaim for not only being a blast to play but also for finding a way to tell a story about the universal struggle of conquering our own mountains of grief and regret. Celeste may seem like another indie platformer on the surface, but after playing it for a few minutes, you'll understand why it's become so beloved over time. Everything from the music to the action works in harmony to create an adventure unlike any other, and the story is guaranteed to resonate with anyone willing to give it a whirl. Some indie games are so ambitious and well-designed that they feel more like a AAA title from one of the major developers. Hollow Knight is one of the most immaculately crafted games ever made and features airtight combat, a rich and immersive world, and a plethora of secrets scattered around every corner. It's often hard to believe that Hollow Knight was created by a team of fewer than 5 people. This small team, known as Team Cherry, worked together to create a 2D Metroidvania with elements of Dark Souls and The Legend of Zelda scattered throughout. The main campaign alone should take you around 30 hours to complete, but Hollow Knight also received a handful of expansions that provide even more challenges and bosses to keep you occupied until you decide which indie game you want to play next. So, did you like the games I recommended? So leave your like, subscribe to the channel to follow me and activate the bell because I post a lot of videos on this channel and you can't miss it. Thank you very much for following me this far and until next time, bye.